Hey friends, thanks for tuning into this video where I'll continue our series on the top 10 reasons Canadians should think twice about voting for Mark Carney. Now, the fifth reason Canadians should think twice about voting for Mark Carney is because he takes credit for things he shouldn't, but actually failed in those same things that he took credit for. Now, as I have watched Carney over the last several months, I've seen him take credit again and again and again for things he is not responsible for. He said he led Canada through the global financial crisis of 2008. I'm old enough to remember that crisis. And to be fair, he did help as a support to the federal leaders in that crisis of 2008. But the Bank of Canada governor has really one power and one power only, and that's setting interest rates. The daily management of the Canadian economy is on the Minister of Finance. And the minister at the time, the late great Jim Flaherty, was universally recognized as being the key day-to-day leader in that crisis. The fiscal prudence of the Harper government helped at that time way more than Mark Carney. Even the Liberal finance minister before Flaherty, Paul Martin, helped by setting bank regulations much more strictly than in the United States, which ensured that Canadian banks were not nearly as exposed to risky subprime lenders like the US banks were. But literally none of that, not a single part of that, was in the hands of Carney. Apparently Carney was also the guy who helped Paul Martin slay the deficit in Canada, and yet he wasn't even in the country at the time. Then he claims to have saved Britain through the Brexit crisis. Now, Carney served as the governor of the Bank of England from July 2013 to March 2020. At the start of his role in 2013, the UK's GDP, gross domestic product per person, was $43,426. By 2020, at the end of his term, it had decreased to 40,217. So for the 7 years of his tenure, income per person went down by $3,000 a year. You may say, well, Brexit happened and that was the cause, but I thought Carney's credibility was built on successfully managing a crisis. He didn't do that in the UK, not in the slightest. So after the Bank of England, then Carney went to save the climate, launching the Net Zero Banking Alliance for the UN. The Net Zero Banking Alliance was one of Carney's big ideas to get the big banks all around the world to commit to net zero, transitioning their operations and their lending to net zero by 2050 or sooner. Now, at first it was successful. A lot of the big banks signed on. They thought it was a great idea. But just recently, the Net Zero Banking Alliance initiative came apart when the major banks pulled out. So please join me for our next video tomorrow, where I'm going to continue with another reason Canadians should think twice about voting for Mark Carney. Let me promise you this: Carney takes credit for things he shouldn't, while actually failing in those same things. Canadians do not need a prime minister like that. That's reason enough to vote for someone else. Please subscribe to my channel and like and share this video. I would love to see your comments below. Thanks for tuning in.